Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to my review for Wraith, developed by Sin Studios Inc. and released for PlayStation VR May 29th. Fight the Wraith as you struggle to survive in various environments using a real-time marketplace and currency system that allows you to purchase weapons, add-ons, ammunition, recharge your flashlight battery, and more. If you've watched enough of my content, then you know I'm a sucker for a good wave shooter. Let's jump in and see if this satisfies my need to shoot shit. As always, guys, if you like this content, hit that like button. And if you want to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for updates, hit that bell icon. And graphics are up first. 2 games in 1 week by a single-man developer. Both Wraith and The Perfect Sniper come off as graphically mediocre. Both have aspects that shine, but I can't help but feel this one-man team would have been better off focusing his efforts on just one game. This game has 4 different levels, all of which start during daylight and very quickly turn to the pitch black of night. All 4 ultimately come off as just variations of each other, and while the dark, foggy atmosphere of these maps could have been creepy, I really just felt extremely underwhelmed with their boring and derivative graphics and level design. The Wraiths themselves look cool, but lack variety and any real personality or interesting animations. They simply float up to you, reach out their arms, and either inflict damage or they die by you killing them. Gun models are serviceable, but you won't really care because 90% of the time it will be so dark you will only see the silhouette of your weapon anyway. To summarize, this game looks like a pre-PSVR budget VR wave shooter title, and I expect more these days than a generic, uninspired fog fest, hiding its obvious flaws by calling it atmosphere. Sound is up next. Much like graphics, Wraith's sounds come off as generic and uninspired. Gun sounds are done poorly across all weapons. They come off as fake, and lack the punch that makes guns so much fun to fire off. Environment effects are adequate, but really don't succeed in creating a creepy atmosphere. They come off as overly simplistic, and lack much in the way of dynamics or 3D audio. In addition, I found the sound levels a little bizarre in that the campfire next to me was almost louder than the shotgun I was firing off. The Wraiths themselves float so you won't hear them coming. One reviewer noted that they found this added to the tension and creepiness factor. I, on the other hand, felt it came off as underdeveloped, a missed opportunity to create tension, and led to cheap enemy deaths, as Wraiths would just appear from the thick fog and attack without any chance to counter. Music is basically limited to the menu screen, and while it's well done, it seems like a missed opportunity to not have it show up during stages, as it may have helped to hide the simplistic sound design during gunfights. And that brings us to gameplay. I bought the Brookhaven experiment on launch day for the PSVR. It was my first VR wave shooter, and while I wanted to like it, I could never really get past the uninspired enemy behavior and overly dark nature of every level. That being said, Wraith, coming off as a poor man's Brookhaven experiment, makes the former game seem like a AAA shooter in comparison. You have 4 levels of basically an endless wave shooter, no boss fights, and no real Wraith variety either, just waves and waves of floating Wraiths coming out of the fog and doing the exact same thing over and over again. Wraith frequency increases as does the difficulty, but there's never a sense of progression to any of the levels. The monotony is elevated somewhat in the form of a real-time marketplace in which you will purchase new weapons, ammo, flashlight batteries, and armor. The game doesn't pause for you, so you'll be required to make snap purchase decisions during the levels. This would all be great if there were more than 4 weapons and I actually had any indication of my health level other than dying. There's no variety in the store, and points acquired for purchases are not tied to any kind of risk-reward banking, headshots, combo system, or anything to break from the overly simple and boring shot this Wraith, get 150 points. The whole process is just boring, grindy, and ultimately not very fun. This game supports the use of a single move controller or the PS4 aim controller. Aim support is decent, and besides from a bit of buttstock drift, worked well. I wish I could comment on the move implementation, however, no matter what I tried, this was broken for me, and my gun sat frozen in front of me at the menu screen. I've seen others playing with the move controller, so I'm not sure what this game doesn't like about my PS4 Pro console settings, but buyer beware, this was broken for me. Speaking of broken, I also found myself at times placed into a level where no enemies spawned and I just stood there while levels passed and nothing happened. Since the game does not have a return to menu option, I was left with no choice but to close the application. Yay! This game can be played either standing or sitting with a minimal need for space, and since you are stationary in-game and turning is done by mandatory click turning, motion sickness should not be an issue. And that brings us to fun factor and my final verdict. Yeah, this game is not a lot of fun. It's boring, generic, and somewhat broken. Even at $10, I can't really think of a reason to recommend this game. As you know, I rate games on a scale of buy, wait for a sale, or burn it to the ground. This is a burn it to the ground for me. As far as wave shooters are concerned, this game comes only second to the horrible Lunar Stone Origin of Blood. Wraith is the type of game I hate to see released on PSVR. It's shovelware in its purest form and does not help push VR or the PSVR brand. In fact, it hurts it. Unless you see this on sale for $2 and really need a new wave shooter, just pass on this. And if this type of shooter and atmosphere looks interesting to you and you haven't picked up the Brookhaven Experiment, please grab that instead. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more PSVR content from me, you know the deal. Please subscribe. And if you want updates, hit that bell icon. I'll catch you guys on my next video.